We would like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the lands on which this project is recorded, the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation. We would also like to pay our respects to elders past, present, and emerging.
Settle down and gather round for another tale. In the world of Nua, where time has carved and cultivated a magical utopia of wonder, a small group of adventurers unlock the deep mysteries of the land, its people, and themselves. Welcome to the Down Under Dungeon podcast.
For the eyes of Monsieur Camille Gobert. Dear Papa, at the risk of reopening old wounds, I hope that this letter does not reach you, as I have addressed it to BNTOM and its arrival would mean that you are still bound there. However, I hope that when this letter is found, it finds you well and in good spirits. I have been traveling far and wide across Nua since we last spoke, and I have been reflecting on how we left things, or rather, how I left things. I was very angry with you, Papa. I thought that you had condemned us to a life of servitude, a life that I did not choose. I thought that you were selfish to drag me down with you and, well, I certainly let you know about that. But in my travels, I have been many things, but rarely have I felt in control of my own destiny. Even when I served no master, I was forced to do what I must to survive. So, we play the cards that we are dealt. I have many tales to share with you, old man, when next we meet. Fighting off dragons and jail-springing animal fighting rings. And new recipes to experiment with, too. Recently, my friends and I have traveled to the underside of the world, the mysterious Umbra Isles. We gained passage aboard a skyship, the Haligast, and at the invitation of the immensely cautious Captain Holly, we have traveled to the Shadowfell to free a prisoner from the Shadow Lord's clutches. The crew of the Haligast have taken us as far as they can on their route, and though we leave as allies, I feel a certain ennui. Once again, it seems that Denis Gobert leaves things on bad terms with the people who matter to him. There was much I wish that I had said, and admittedly much that I wish I had not. As we take our first steps into this land of darkness, I find myself thinking about you, Papa. I doubt you'd approve of me, and I certainly think you would not think me wise. You'd say that I was foolhardy and bullish, and perhaps you are right in thinking that, but being foolhardy has made me stronger, and being bullish more resilient. For the first time, Papa, I do feel in control of my destiny. I will see you again soon. With love, your son, Denis Gobert.
All I could think about since last week is stone sentinels.
Yeah,
You know.
cryptic warnings from ghosts.
Do we think that's going to come up this episode?
I've never once encountered a sentinel that has meant like, oh, good guys, go on through.
Are we just becoming ghost hunters now, by the way, as well?
Fuck yeah.
New CG.
Who are you gonna call?
The Wellspringers.
Yes, gang, last week was a very interesting episode indeed, and we descend once more on Camp Haligast as the Wellspringers are preparing to leave your crew while they prepare for their launch to the moon. The Myconids have agreed to shepherd your passage through the woods to a sheltered beach off Cinder Harbour, where they believe is the best stone's throw to push east towards Caldera City. What are our Wellspringers doing to prepare? This is of the morning of you leaving, so less NPC stuff, more physical stuff, sure.
Louie wants to use her inspiring leader feat to bring a callback to Sideway in the Canyon, where she made everyone do yoga for 10 minutes in the morning, and is going to bring back the acrobatics. And we're going to spend 10 minutes inspiring my companions, up to 6 allies, including myself, that can see, hear, or understand you within 30 feet, and you guys gain 11 temporary HP.
Holy shit.
Ooh,
Is it just the HP?
Each creature gains 11 temp HP once per short rest.
Beautiful.
Denis is going to, as he's like packing up his soup and kitchen station, is going to ladle out 3 little vials of his healing elixir and is going to give one to each of his Wellspringer friends and say, "These are for you guys, keep them on your person. If you go down, I can use them on you. Otherwise, use them on yourselves." And so, yeah, you each get like a healing potion.
Thank you so much.
Lysandra is going to manifest her echo to have some extra options for if danger is to surround them.
Yes, the Wellspringers begin their morning preparations. You see the camp is alive and excited with your departure. However, the new quartermaster, Lydrin, is very, very quickly re-establishing her will over her subordinates now. And you see the fear in which they once used to ostracize her, she is now used to ensure their total obedience. And you see Holly is just nodding in approval as Lydrin runs them through drills. As your Myconid guides greet you at the outskirts of the stone circle, you look up into the sky to see the new Mantelope family all flying together.
Yay!
Put 3.
You see Sticky is definitely the runt of the litter, and it takes a little bit more effort for him to keep up with the others. And you see Greek shouting up profanities at the other Mantelopes to be gentle with him. Is there anything anyone's thinking about before they begin plunging into the Putrescent Woods? Just quietly to themselves.
Feng is just racing through everything that he feels like he has to do in Shadowfell or the Umbra Isles, I guess it is. Where is the Phoenix? Is it still alive? Is Merle here? What is Feng's role in this? Where does the prophecy lay?
Lysandra's mulling over in her mind about her interaction with her dad and is setting herself in motion not to get distracted by anything else, but she knows that she has to make it to him no matter what and no matter who stands in the way.
Denis is thinking about Plimp and all the things that he should have said and all the things he shouldn't have said. And I think Denis recently gotten a little bit more intelligence. He's maxed it out. And I like to believe that last little bit of intelligence that he was looking for was a bit of emotional intelligence, and is just reconciling with the fact that, hey, you know what? I've made my mistakes and now I've got to live with them.
Louis is just considering, after having stretched out all her friends, just considering the journey that they have to go on and trying to think about how to let go.
As the moons crack the horizon, dappled purple light begins cascading through the fog of the Putrescent Woods. The gnarled black trunks, jutting defiantly together in their desolation, beckon the Wellspringers forward, as you follow the slow and deliberate plottings of your Myconid guides. These Myconids, you see, they're complex, but they're not intelligent. These mushroom people communicate largely through electrical impulses through their systems, and so while they are incredibly intuitive and can pick up on emotion, mood, and things like that, they're not intelligent beings as we would know them. It almost just seems like they're just happy to guide you through, and they are more passive beings in this response, but their presence nonetheless is very helpful for you in navigating this terrain. I'm going to need a nature or a perception check from the Wellspringers.
Louis got a 26 perception.
Ooh. Feng got a 6.
Yeah,
Perception.
Lysandra got a 5 perception.
Denis got a 19 nature.
Wow. Louis has been everywhere in Nua. Once, at least, more or less. And so being in a truly strange place with no reference is very disconcerting. And so I feel you are hyper-vigilant in this moment. With the light, it seems as if the place is completely barren. There's only the occasional snapping of a branch, fluttering of a feather, or far-off snarl of something retreating back into the thicket. You see pale falcons in the morning light, with their undersides gliding across the tops of trees, scanning the earth for any morsel to sustain them. It seems the woods are alive, but the life is fragile here. And with that nature check, Denis, you begin to decipher their rambles, and it appears that they are talking about the wood around them. They speak of spirits, lost shamans, soothsayers, mountain men, and about the life that once existed in this place. And it almost seems half conversation, half song, like they are lamenting the place that this was once.
Can I make an insight check on the Myconids to see if they would appreciate Denis trying to join in with the electrical currents?
Okay, go for it.
Sure. It's a 5.
Hey, you're pretty intuitive with Lydrin, so how hard can this be?
This is gonna go terribly. Denis gonna use his efficient fishing rod to try and electrocute these guys and join in their chorus.
While this is happening, I want the rest of the party to make survival checks. In order to make it through the Putrescent Woods, you must make 5 successful survival checks. The Myconid guides are essentially shepherding you through this space, and so will give you a +10 to your check.
Whoa.
Whoa.
However, failing to keep up may result in you falling behind. And just because it appears the Myconids are immune to whatever effects are happening in this haunted woods, you might not be. So Denis, while you casting that spell, I'll get everyone else to make their survival checks, please.
Let's do it.
Did anyone roll below a 17?
Louis did.
Sweet. Denis, cast your spell.
Sweet. I don't want to hurt him, but I do just want to see if I can join in with this electrical impulse chorus, and is going to use his efficient fishing rod. It's actually a strength saving throw on their behalf.
They'll fail it.
Yeah, sweet. No worries. Then it's just, if they get too close to me, they do take like 2d8 electric damage.
Great, so Denis essentially hooks up himself on a closed circuit with a couple of mushrooms and a car battery.
Yeah. Effectively, it's a taser on a fishing rod. Like, it's just throwing it out there and hoping. Yeah, I guess I'll roll the damage to do it. Come on, roll lows. 8 total.
You guys see Denis starts messing with the Myconids. Denis, I need you to make me, and I'm not joking here, a DC 10 Constitution saving throw. You do not want to fail this.
Absolutely fair. So fair. DC 10 Constitution saving throw?
Correct.
All right. It's a 17 on the die plus 2, 19.
You start to tap into the network, and you start to see that these guys are really just a smaller portion of a much larger system.
Ooh.
And almost as if you're like going through a fiber optic cable under the ground, you start to see that these guys come from an enormous mycelium circle far off deep into the woods. You see it's almost like pulsating with lights and has different branches that are trying to like eke out into the Putrescent Woods. And when you unplug and turn to see the rest of your party, you realize that Louis is missing.
Damn it. There's no way for me to help that roll. Like, Feng's total survival check was a 36.
Yeah, Lysandra's was a 30.
I get that. You see, as you start to show distress, the Myconid men start to like move amongst you and just start to gently take your hand and keep pulling you onwards through the woods. And Feng, because you have experienced the spores, you just start to get this willingness from these Myconid men to just ensue calm, and everything's fine. Just keep moving through the woods.
Are you taking us to Louis?
You don't know. They're just emanating this feeling of calm, and everything is okay.
This feels like a trap.
Lysandra's echo was up. Can she switch places with her echo and go find Louis?
You try. You switch multiple times, and from either position, you don't see her. Louis.
Hi.
You were following along with the Myconids. They begin swaying more fervently, and you just to kind of like get lost in the hypnotic pattern of it all. You've been walking for the better part of a couple of hours in this morning, and you are not a spring chicken anymore. And so you start to feel your eyes begin to droop from exhaustion. And just as you begin to dip into sleep, you jolt awake suddenly, looking around to see that you have been left behind. You must have dozed off for a spell.
Gotta get that narcolepsy checked out. Oh, God.
You can't be far behind, though. You hear voices from close by.
I don't know. Can I make a perception check to see if I recognize the voices?
Yep.
There's a 22 perception check.
You recognize one of the voices, but you can't place where.
Louis will head towards the voices.
As you follow the tracks, the voices start to turn to shouts, then clashes of steel, then blasts of magic. The party must be in trouble.
Louis hitches up her skirts and runs.
You dash down an embankment, bruising and scraping your elbows and knees as you stumble downwards, and when you appear at the bottom, you see before you a small glade, littered with the dead. Countless bodies slashed and cut down, the pools of blood seeping in their already dyed red clothes, their heads and eyes covered, silvered sickles in their hands. In their midst, propped up against the stump of a tree, wheezing and blood trickling from his handsome mouth, the brave Jarl Sigurd Scruff of Lal-Udrund. As you approach the circle, he looks up to you and says, "Ah, my mentor. Have I done you proud?"
Scruff, what happened? Why are you here? What's going on?
You rush up to him and you look at his chest and see no cuts or stab wounds from blades, but just several neat puncture wounds throughout his neck and abdomen. "I could never learn your last lesson, Lady Louis. Cast aside those who fail and disappoint you, those who fall short of your grand plan. I am truly sorry I wasn't worthy of your legacy. You were right to leave me. Perhaps in my death, my life would have meant something." And as he clutches the wounds in his chest, he says, "Ah, Constantine, I'm so sorry."
Scruff, she's just gonna start casting healing spells. She's desperate. She's like, "You've done more than fulfill my legacy, boy. Come on, get back on your feet. I'm not letting you go like this." As the last rattled breaths of the Jarl dog your ears, you reach out to grab his shoulder and feel nothing. As you look up, the bodies and the former Jarl are gone, and you sit once again under the boughs of Nonina, smiling down at you like a child who has spilled milk on the floor. "Weep not for those who you have left behind. Weep for those who have no one to remember them when they go." I now need you to make me a charisma saving throw, Louis. I think as she does that, she's just going to, still be on her knees, and she says, "But that was my job. I was the one who remembered the forgotten." It's a 19 plus 8 for a 27. It takes you a while to control your breathing, Louis, but soon you look up, the visions have dissipated, and you see the familiar footprints of your party in the ash leading further down the road as if nothing had happened. And we return to the main group as the Myconids continue coaxing you down the forest path.
Feng is probably just calling out for Louis and saying, Louis, are you there? And he's also going to use a charge from his armor of daybreak and almost put a force palm into his chest as you see cracks of daylight start to glow in between the petrified bark. And he's going to use a charge to cast daylight. And so there's bright light out to 60 feet and dim light out to 120 feet as he's trying to see where Louis has gone.
You see, Feng, you cast this brilliant, it's almost like a shock wave of light. And this place has not known light like that ever. And you all hear at the aftermath of this spell the shrieking and hissing of all of these unnamed horrors that shriek back to the shadows. And you wait for a moment, silence, nothing. I'm going to need another survival check, please. The DC has increased.
Feng got another 36.
Denny got a 14.
Lysandra got a 31.
After an hour or two, the trail bisects a small woodland stream, and I use stream in air quotes here. The slow-moving water is as contaminated and dead as the surrounding woods, and you see films of noxious liquids and sediments gather on the surface. Your guides then suddenly turn southward, following the stream carefully. As the moons begin their descent, an eerie fog seems to creep up from the moorlands beyond, making the area very difficult to see. Denis.
Oui.
The remainder of your party begins following the stream through a rocky outcropping, descending into a narrow chasm. And as you enter the enclosed space, the Myconid guides release handfuls of bioluminescent spores into the air, which dimly light the space for you to see. As you begin picking your way through the stones, careful not to trip, you get a noseful of something you haven't smelled since before the voyage. The earthy texture and mellow tones of Cape Rin's finest Cavendrel smoking tobacco. 50 gold pieces an ounce. An exclusive personal favourite of an old acquaintance and employer.
Denis gonna follow the scent if he can.
You are not sure how or for what purpose, but if he is here, it spells disaster for the party, and whatever nefarious, exploitative, selfish motivation, he cannot be allowed to derail you so close to this journey's end. You follow the trail of smoke through a small opening in the rock to a dark cave. A familiar wheezing breath beckons you from within. Waving the smoke from your view, you behold the familiar, enormous figure of your 7th cousin 3 times removed on your father's maternal side. Gobbet Hobgoblin takes up most of the space of the cave. Huge, rippling frame, softened by years of excess that have left the mafioso bursting from his reinforced tweed suit and jacket. The light from his enormous cigar, large enough to illuminate the room with every breath, casts shadows in his face, a mean and steely visage of a person willing to sacrifice anything and anyone to get ahead. Denis, my boy! How you disappoint me so. Such a brain, such devotion, such vision. Me and you, pal, we could have ruled Cape Rin together. Goblins. For once. On top.
Denis gonna look Gobbert up and down and say, "Diet going well, Zen?"
You see he chuckles and says, "It's not about me, Denis. What are you doing all the way out here, huh?"
Kind of is about you, actually. Trying to get as far away from you, because, with all the working together you're talking about, weren't you, how you say, going to kill me?
Details.
Not to me, bitch.
What? So now what? This means you're running around with folks you have no business with,
As opposed to folks who are trying to kill me?
Yeah.
Yes, I am.
Easy motive, Denis. Easy motive. We're simple folk, yeah? You do what you're told or you get snuffed. That's easy. That's the way the world works. Not these shadow sorcerers, these shape-changing furbolgs. This is way beyond your pay grade.
I'm actually not being paid anything. Thank you very much.
Oh, don't tell me the cooking, Denis, not the cooking.
Oh, you're so sad about the cooking, but now you're eating not my food and you're really fat. So
Hey, don't bring up your food nonsense, not again.
I think you need to bring some of it up because there's too much in you.
Don't project on me, this is your pipe dream,
Don't project
Denis.
on me, don't fucking spit on me. Say it, don't spray it, bitch.
Denis, I don't shy away from me. But you are constantly wishing to be something that you're not. Ain't nobody nowhere turn into a goblin, a gutter rat, to feed him. That life is not meant for guys like us. We are survivors, warriors, and yes, killers.
Denis, looking at his 7th cousin, is just gonna say, "You know what? You've got your opinion, I've got mine. I would like to live my life in a sense of freedom, doing what I want to do. You'd like to control me. I understand that. Different strokes for different folks, yeah?"
You see, Gobbet takes another huge drag from his cigar and says, look, Denis, I get it. You want to be free. It's not me, though, you have to convince.
No.
It's him. And he points behind you.
Who's that?
As you turn around, you see the cave dissolves from your vision, replaced by the empty corridor of the Nightingale Manor in Bientiorum. Snow can be falling gently through the vaulted window, and the light of the full moon silhouette a figure knelt on the dark wooden floorboards. As you approach, you recognize the form of your father. His hair more greyed and thinning, the jowls on his neck have deepened, and his eyes seem smaller and dull somehow. He takes no notice of your presence, committed in his task of manically cleaning the floor with brush and soap.
Denis is going to approach his father and just try and get his attention away from his fucking servitude for once.
Denis, you kneel down and take the brush from his hands, and you see he notices your presence. And as you take the brush, you see the oldness of his skin. Arthritis has set in. There are massive calluses, and they've started to bleed from the incessant and endless work. And he looks at you and manages to smile and says, "Denis, is that you? My son, you left without saying goodbye."
Denis, looking at apparently his father, is gonna say, "I am sorry, Papa. I am so sorry. I did not... I am young. I did not think about what leaving would mean for you, what it would mean for me even. But Papa, I will be back. I'm coming back. I'm getting you out of here. And you and I are going to go live on a nice little island."
And you see the old goblin takes both of your hands in his and says, No. Leave me here. This is my fate. I chose this. You did not. Leave your old man to his chores. You know that you are so loved, and I am so happy you were able to leave this awful place."
Papa, you did not choose this. You were born into it like myself, and you were unfortunately raised in a society that did not allow you to think that you deserved more. And I have benefited from that greatly, largely due to your influence and what you have taught me in loving myself and the people around me. Papa, you can fight it all you wish. I am dragging you out of here. So, make your peace with that, but when I come back, we are leaving. We?
I need a charisma saving throw from Denis, please.
I'm so good at those. All right. It's a 10.
10 will do it.
Oh. I don't think I had any more of that scene in me.
Denis, as you say that and look up to your father, you see he says to you, "Aspirations of the young. It is good you still have hope." And as the vision begins to fade, Denis, you're holding nothing but your empty hands in an empty cave as your party has moved on without you.
Is Pud nearby? I need a hug. I want to hug Pud.
Back to the party. Thank Lysandra. You see that the Myconid guides are completely nonplussed, or seemingly haven't noticed the disappearance of two of their flock, and they seem to just be continuing to follow this path. You do notice you are leaving very heavy footprints in the ash behind you, so it's not like it's going to be difficult to follow your trail, but you are still worried about Louis's warning with the stone sentinels.
Lysandra's going to turn to Feng. Can we do anything? They've disappeared.
I don't know. I just think that we need to get ready for whatever is taking them or whatever is going on. And Feng is going to start calling out Denis and continue calling out Louis's name. And even go to the extent of summoning Promi and get Promi to start flying around looking for them.
Feng, I will give you advantage on your perception check to find them with Promi if you will take a disadvantage on your next survival check.
I'm going to do that because with the extra +10 to survival, my survival's at a +17. So I think I'm going to go for it. So perception check first.
Yep.
That perception is a 16.
16? 16 is not going to do it to see them. And I'm now going to need another survival check from Lysandra and Feng.
And I've got disadvantage.
That's a natural 20 for Lysandra's.
Nothing.
33?
And with disadvantage, I rolled a 16 and an 18, and so that 16 becomes also a 33.
You both pass.
Yes.
Yes!
Feng is just clutching onto her fan.
Clutching onto each other.
I don't want to be alone. I'm not emotionally or mentally strong enough for this place.
I will say you pass, but you just passed. As you move through with your Myconids, it's almost like the woods are almost starting to like penetrate your body. It's hard to describe. It's like it's so quiet and so dead here that you almost start to like hear your own blood pumping in your own head, and so it's a very like it becomes very visceral, and you slowly start to feel a little bit overwhelmed and all consumed. But then again, you will see the lights of the spores from the Myconids. You will see their rhythmic dancing, and it'll slowly calm you down. And you are able to make it further into the woods. You see the path now is starting to descend lower below yourself, and I'm going to need another. If you want to make perception checks, you can. But I will also need a survival check.
Just quickly, is my daylight spell still running? It goes for an hour.
Yeah.
Sweet.
I would say probably it ends up now, yes. You can make one more perception check with that daylight if you want.
Okay, I think I'm going to. That's a 19.
I'm now going to need your survival checks.
Let's do it. Feng got a 27.
That's a 3 on the dice for a total of 16.
Feng, you smell on the breeze squid jerky. It must be Denis. Denis must be close. And it's just as you start to hear the hums from Louis, you turn around and no one is there. The Myconids are gone. Lysandra is gone. Denis, Louis, you come back up onto the path and you see the Myconid men standing there completely by themselves, almost looking puzzled and confused.
Holy shit! Just runs up and hugs you.
just hug and like sort of ties like a rope to each other, like okay.
Literally like full going into the Minotaur's labyrinth style, just red rope. Nope. Where are the others? What's happened?
I don't know, man. I got lost as well.
Oh god.
Feng, you are pushing through the woods as you hear Promi calling from the sky up ahead, indicating that he's found something.
Feng starts running to where Promi is.
Promi dispels, but you still begin to see flashes of dancing lights, a crackling flame, a burst of orange and red through the tree line. You push through a thicket into a small knoll, and greeting you, forked tongue whipping from her mouth as she dances and casts the produce flame cantrip, your old nemesis and rival, Elizabeth.
What do you mean?
The lizard folk you impersonated in Lal Udrud and whose home you accidentally burnt down.
Elizabeth, what are you doing here?
You see Elizabeth turns to you, or Riz as she's referred to, and smiles and says, Feng, did you really think all that running around was going to keep us away from you? You're our responsibility, remember? Our problem?
Well, if I'm your problem, then you're kind of at fault for everything falling to shit, don't you think?
How do you reckon that, Feng?
Well, because I kind of fucked up a few things, and so if I'm your responsibility, then you're kind of at fault too.
Well, maybe. But that's why I'm here, Feng. I had to find you to make things right.
What have you done with my friends?
You see she chuckles for a bit and starts to walk slowly towards you. Feng, don't you know what our roles are in the circle? You're the lovable dumb druid, and I'm the one that has to go around and tie up the loose ends. They're gonna make me first flame for this. And you see she summons fire into the palm of her hand.
Is Promi still flying around?
You don't see Promi anywhere.
Feng's gonna just laugh at Elizabeth in this moment and say, I don't know how you're gonna be first flame after I destroy you right here, right now. And Feng's just gonna fire off a 3rd level scorching ray.
Oh my gosh. Roll it up.
That's 4 beams of fire. The lowest is the 2 lowest are a 14.
She has an AC of 15.
Okay, so 2 of those are gonna hit. At level 6, I also got a new feature called Enhanced Bond. If Promi is summoned at the moment somewhere, I get to up one of these fire damage rolls by a d8.
Promi is not around, unfortunately.
So it'll just be 4d6. And that's going to be 11 fire damage.
Feng, you see, as Elizabeth goes to shoot her flame spell at her, you simply absorb it into yourself. And the torrent of fire that you unleash on her in response is somewhat frightening. You see, as you strike out with your flames, they begin to twist around Elizabeth's scales. She shrieks so shrilly that you cover your ears, and when you regain composure, you see not the crumpled form of Elizabeth, but of a young furbolg. Acorns and roots tied into his hair, dirt caked around his mouth and eyes, a rough-spun tunic of grass and moss cradling his shoulder and whimpering from a red, weeping burn.
Stay away from me! Get back! You're the one who burnt everything! Why would you do that?
Is that a younger Feng?
It sure is.
Feng just collapses to his knees and says, What's going on?
You see the furbolg begins to shake and say, Oh, it hurts! Oh, it hurts so bad!
Hey, little buddy, it's alright. It's gonna be okay. It's gonna hurt for a little bit, but it's gonna get better.
I need a charisma saving throw from you, Feng.
That's an 8.
Feng, you feel a searing hot pain in your left palm. You take 15 points of fire damage, and you realize that you are not coming out of a stupor, but something is pulling you out of the stupor. And you look into your left hand and you see, tight-fisted, the phoenix feather crumpled within as it starts to burn your hand. Lysandra, you once again find yourself alone in the monotonous silence of this dead wood. Make a perception check for me.
Sure thing. Please be nice to me. 12.
Lysandra, you can't see anything, but you do hear something. The familiar sound of a child's laughter, like they're running through the woods. It sounds so comforting and haunting, and as you allow the sound to wash over you, you realize that it's you laughing.
Lysandra's just going to stop in her tracks and try and stop herself from laughing, try and stop whatever childish nonsense this is.
You follow the sound of the child's laughter, and you see it brings you to a small circular outcropping of stones in the wood. These are much smaller than the sight stones from Camp Halligast, but you assume they have a similar intent.
Do they look similar to the stones back in the Witch's Coven?
They do.
She's going to keep going over with a mission to stop whatever is laughing or whoever is laughing, because if it's not coming from her, she wants it all to stop.
As you move into the area, a figure materializes in the middle of the circle. Dappled in the moonlight stands a tall woman. She has long, pale blonde hair flowing around her shoulders, framing a small pointed face, slight nose, and pale blue eyes. It's almost like looking into a mirror 30 years into the future, but she does not possess your athleticism, heavy brow, and of course, the distinct 4 points of your tiefling origin. Lysandra speaks. Oh, my daughter, you have flourished into such an impressive young woman. Well beyond my capacity, that's for sure.
Lysandra, in this moment, is confused, has been told multiple things by multiple different people about who her mum is, and wants to be angry, wants to fight and have a temper tantrum, but doesn't really know how to portray any of that emotion, and Lysandra's just going to say to her, why weren't you here? Why weren't you here with me? Why did you let me suffer?
You see a sadness crosses over Lysandra's face, and she says, we are all dealt the hands given us, child.
Everyone keeps saying that. Why weren't you here? Stop telling me that this is the hand I was given.
When the witch gave me the ultimatum, my freedom for you, I believed it an impossible choice. But in my defiance, my foolishness, running around with that sorcerer, I had forfeited every right to be a responsible parent to you. And while I doubt the witches were much kinder, at least they bestowed upon you some resilience to make your own way in the world.
They were not kind. The Priory arguably was not kind. This world has not been kind, and you chose your freedom over protecting me, your blood? How could you do that?
Oksana looks at you, Lysandra, and says, "We all leave people behind, Lysandra, and we will always carry them with us. You just need to decide what to do next, and try to make the sacrifice worth something." The form of your mother begins to twist, bubble, and broil before bursting into blinding white light. When your vision returns, fluttering away through the trees, you see Quigwellon, his enormous dragonfly wings shedding flecks of pure starlight. The cheeky leaf green face turns to wink at you and says, "Did we make it, Lysandra? Was it worth it?"
Every sacrifice will be worth it. I will make sure of that.
I need a charisma saving throw, please.
15.
That passes.
Oh,
Lysandra and Feng, you both snap out of your stupors as the possessive quality of the spirits of these woods find you worthy. And after a long while, you are able to retrace your steps and meet back up with the Myconids, but when you arrive, it seems not many people are in the mood for talking. The Myconids begin leading you down a small, narrow path where ridges rise quickly above you, filtering out the light but enhancing the sounds of the lapping water of Cinder Harbour. As you approach, you realise your guides are taking you down to a secluded beach. The moons have reached their peak, and their pale purple light dapples the inky black sand of the cove. Waves lap gently at the shore, retreating back out into the inky blackness of the bay. Can I get a perception check, please, from the Wellspringers? You need to beat a DC 17.
Ooh, here we go. Denny got a nat 1.
oh. Feng got an 18.
We got a 14.
Lysandra also got a 14.
So only Feng sees this. The rest of you are probably still battling with your own internal battles at the moment. Feng, far across the horizon, you see the glow of lights of industry. And as you turn to inquire with the Myconids, they explain to you that that place is called Fuma Town, or the Bay of Smog by the Mycelian Circle. There, the Shadow Lord Belial fuels his industry, using the volatile seismic activity in the area to extract minerals and create materials for the realm. And you remember back to those imps in the wereworm
I
tunnels.
was literally just about to say we heard of someone when we were escaping the wereworm collecting those volcanic minerals and materials, so I'm guessing that's a town run by those little midnight black imps.
They were so cute.
They were, but I think they're going to be our enemy.
No.
The Myconids explain that it is a dangerous place where the wretched come to seek some form of living in the mines and refineries. It is not a happy life, and so downtime in the city often includes wanton assault, murder, and looting.
Ooh.
As long as the supplies make their way to Caldera City, the Shadow Lord is unconcerned with the rest.
I think Feng in this moment is looking around at the Wellspringers, almost staring longingly out of this beach/bay, and thinking to himself that he can't allow himself to be emotionally shaken by what has just happened, and he can't allow himself to also be mentally defeated by this, because there has to be someone who is going to help pull the Wellspringers together and get through this. And so he's going to turn to everyone as they're sitting down on the sand and say, "All right, everyone, we've got the next place that we need to go." And he'll point across to the Bay of Lights and he'll say, "If they're taking materials to Caldera City and Mount Admonition, we could maybe use her as a way to get into Belial's castle or palace or whatever he calls it. His extinct volcano. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge."
I think you see that the Wellspringers are catatonic, just staring out onto the harbour, and it's at least the breeze is refreshing here. And it does almost seem like you're coming out of almost like a high or something, like fresh air after being hotboxed in a car for like a day.
I think what I'd like to do in this moment is take a few minutes to sit down individually with each of the three Wellspringers and actually use 3 of my first level spell slots to cast. And I know that this will only last for a brief amount of time on each of them because it's concentration, but I want to, as I'm affirming them, cast heroism on them so that they are immune to the frightened condition. And I'm ultimately using this as like a little spark, a little ignition to say, and looking deep into their eyes and saying, "Louis, Denis, Lysandra, come on, snap out of it. We have come here for a reason. There are so many people counting on us. And I know that we've already let so many people down, and I know that we have already failed so many times. But this is the time that we have to pull it together and make sure that we do what Nua deserves and save everyone.
In the west of the Wellspringers, you see Feng places his lantern down as a kind of a makeshift campfire on the beach, and with his magic, you all seem to be restored to somewhat of a functional state. However, the weight of what you've just gone through and the weight of what's ahead of you, that, unfortunately, Feng's magic cannot help with.
I think it snaps Louis out of it a little bit at least. And is it a touch spell or is it like a distance spell?
Yeah, it is a touch spell.
I think as you touch her to cast it, she just grabs your hand and kind of like pulls you a little closer to give you a kiss on the forehead. You're the best of us, Feng.
I learned from you.
And I think she just kind of stands up and like gives him a big hug and then makes her way over to Lysandra and does like the same thing, kisses her on the forehead, gives her a big hug. Forward, with kindness to ourselves, this place is obviously going to be a lot more than we thought.
Denny, thinking about his promises to Lidrin and to Plimp and to his dad and to Gobbert, he's thinking about all the ways that he is moving forward constantly and never looking back, and sort of has had a bit of a perspective shift and is thinking about how he needs to go back now and needs to get out of Shadowfell. Or not get out of, but return from Shadowfell. There's a need there now. And is just going to look to everyone and said, let's get this blade, guys.
Lysandra, thanking Louis, will turn to Feng. So how are we going to get into Fuma City? Are we going to try and disguise ourselves or sneak in there?
Feng, you consult the druids. They explain that you can traverse the harbour by foot. But as you can see by the map, you will have to go around underneath Admonition, go through a whole marsh of wraiths. And so for them, they reckon that your best shot is making a direct punt across the harbour. The running waters do deter many undead and beasties, but also harbour others. So it's 6 of one or half a dozen of the other.
Feng will say, I don't know, I kind of didn't get that far ahead in my planning. I was just trying to snap you all out of the state that you were in. I think we could maybe take a bit of a rest and I could work on some magic to maybe make us walk on water. Unless, Louis, do you have any other ideas?
Well, considering how we got here with the Halligast and the crew and an homage to sea travel, I think I can maybe whip us up, not as grand a vessel as the Halligast, but I can maybe make us a little something that'll get us across the water.
Maybe that's a good idea, and then I can use my magic as a backup in case something happens to us.
Denny says, alternatively, we can all ride Pud.
Feng will ask, can Pud carry all 4 of us?
Maybe let's fit him as the engine?
He cannot do it percent carry all 4 of us. And Pud's there going,
Feng jumps into Pud's arms.
Pud was like, I didn't like the ghosts. I don't like water either.
Yeah, that's fair.
So with the affirmation of, we will have a vessel to get across, Louis is going to look at everyone's exhausted faces and kind of the position of the moons and go, maybe before we go charging headlong into danger, let's take a second and rest. I don't know what you guys saw in that forest, but it was enough to throw me out for a loop. So I'm going to pitch up a tent. Denny, if you wouldn't mind whipping up a little bit of food or something, sustain us a little. Let's just give ourselves a break from whatever that was, and then we can keep going.
Yeah, you got it, man. And Denny's gonna try his experimental elixir, just to see what happens. That's a 2. So the drinker's walking speed increases by 10 feet for 1 hour.
Nice. We can all walk really quick.
Yeah, I say
Well,
Denny.
one of us can walk really quick.
You all watch Denny carefully, like a child at the beach, as he starts walking through the rock pools, picking up things and mashing them together into this unholy pace. Denny, you refill some of your alchemical ingredients to get ready for tomorrow.
Lysandra's going to wander off to the other side of the beach away from where Denny is wading through rock pools, just finding maybe a moment even behind some rocks or some shrubs, trying to conceal herself from the party, and is going to let down her braid and take a moment to think about what she just saw in her vision, what she experienced, and the confusing rage that she's feeling, but also a sentiment of understanding of why her mum chose freedom, because that is what she is trying to do on this trip, is trying to find freedom.
Feng is going to also find a bit of a quieter place by himself, but not too far away, where he can still see everyone. And I had actually planned to give a bean to someone on the Halagast to plant on the moon, but I forgot that. So Feng wanted to try and plant a bean everywhere they went. So Feng would like to kneel down to the sand while his eyes are set on Mount Admonition, the extinct volcano, while the phoenix plays on his mind, and plant a magic bean. Also, the theory that I came up with a couple weeks ago, wondering if the beans just open little portals to different realms and stuff. Does Feng see a little portal open?
Yeah, Feng's ready to dive in.
Yes.
Well, given that Lysandra got her sword from these bags of beans, it definitely seems that these might be weave beans. That they are just beans that are...
Weens.
Nope. Retconning weaves. Feng, make a D100 roll for me.
Let's go. That is 13.
Feng, you put the bean into the ground and kind of cover it with sand and step back for a minute, and you see suddenly the Myconid men all get up in unison and walk over to the site where you plant the bean, and then they start rhythmically dancing around it.
Feng joins in.
Can we all join in?
Yeah, go for it.
Woo! Denny runs over, sees a party, he goes, yes!
Sprouting from the bean that you planted, an enormous black willow tree shoots from the beach of the sand, and then its trunk uproots itself as you see an enormous treant standing in this space. You see it starts to roar at you all and shake its quivering bark and leaves. There is a 50% chance that this treant is chaotic evil. Roll me a d4.
No!
1 and
Does the dancing help?
It's clear that the Myconids could sense what was happening here and were trying to tame this tree. So it is, I'm going to say, the sheet says it's evil or good, but I'm saying it's evil and you're trying to help the Myconids tame this treant.
So on a 1 or a 2, it's good or bad?
On a 1 or on a 2, hey, you decide. What do you want?
Pick low and let Amber roll.
I think on a 1 or 2, the treant is evil, and on a 3 or 4, the treant is good.
Okay.
Alright.
Here we go.
That's a 4! Yes!
thank God.
And Feng just looks up to this big tree and he's like, hey, whoa, that was a bit bigger than I was anticipating. Hey, you kind of remind me of the gold tree that sprouted like 29 golden apples. I hope you're as friendly and as welcoming as that one. Please.
You see this treant kind of looks around and says, where am I? Where's the sun?
We're kind of in a place with no sun. Is that a problem?
You see the Myconids who are rejoicing at the birth of life in this place suddenly also realize this predicament.
Feng uses another charge of his armor to cast daylight and see if that helps.
As you cast daylight, you see you put the treant at ease, and you see the Myconids turn to you and reach out for your fire staff, Feng.
Feng hands it over.
You see the 3 Myconid men snap your staff into 3 different pieces, and then they start hawking these goopy spore paste all over it. jostles it together, and you see in this amalgamation, they've been able to turn your fire staff into this some kind of sunstone light refraction thing, and it's like a small little generator that they then hang in the treant, which should give it enough light.
I'm gonna cry. Feng's gonna look up to the treant and then towards the Myconids and say, Thank you so much for doing that. Interestingly, I think that staff used to represent my connection to the Order of the Eternal Flame, and funnily enough, I think you kind of just decided for me that I am now something else. And Feng's gonna look to the rest of the Wellspringers and say, well, I grew another soldier. Let's go kill Belial.
Denis contact juggling Pud.
You see, at the arrival of this treant, unfortunately, these Myconid men have already lost interest in you. That now that there's a bigger, more promising prospect in their woods, it's not that they're ignoring you or attacking you, it's just they have full devotion to this tree now. Feng, the treant looks down at you and says, "You've granted me life and consciousness. Name me, my lord and creator."
Come on, baby. Come on. Number 4.
I'm calling it Pud. I'm not calling it Pud. I'm not calling it.
BP.
Coward.
Feng feels the sudden psychological spike from Denis staring daggers at him and goes, I believe your name is Pud the Fourth.
Oh my fucking god.
The tree, with no frame of reference, nods solemnly, and you all begin a restless night of sleep, watching the Myconid men continue their ritualistic dance around this treant. Thoughts plague your mind as you try to find sleep. Those visions, were they real? Were they a manifestation of what the spirits saw in you? Did the spirits only show you what you wanted to see? Or what would scare you most? The piece of you that you, even yourself, may be unconscious to. And that is where we will end our session.
Hey, God. What are you doing to us?
The beam!
I hate that.
I can't believe I contributed to that.
So many puds by the end of this.
I think my bet was 5.
Yeah, I think it
I think
was.
Auntie Donna gotta start paying us some fucking royalties at this
Yeah.
point.
I think PUD should stand for something, like PUD. Like, it should be like some artificial thing.
You reckon?
Yeah.
Pie.
More like personal... who cares?
We'll
If
figure it
someone
out.
comes up with it,
Yeah.
Yeah. Does anyone have any selfless plugs for this week?
So, about a month and a half back on New Year's, I decided that I was going to host a murder mystery night. So I've done a couple of these, and there is there's a kit for them that I found in my parents' storage room. I believe they still make games today. It's literally called How to Host a Murder Party. It comes with 8 set characters. It gives you the whole storyline. Comes with a cassette tape. It's all retro. I had to go steal my parents' cassette player, but I turned my entire room into my entire living room, which was speakeasy. All my friends were great about it, but just having not having to write my own murder mystery was freaking amazing. And I've done a whole bunch of them before. I think they're really, really fun. So my recommendation to someone or to our audience is go play a murder mystery. Go do a murder mystery. Go have fun. If you need a good kit for it, How to Host a Murder. You can find them in most op shops and things at this point. But yes, go play games with your friends. We're adults. We can do that. Have fun with it.
There's definitely a serial killer out there who has bought the pack of How to Host a Murder Party and has been severely disappointed.
That's actually such a great episode of Dexter.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
And always, team, don't forget to follow us on our socials at Down on a Dungeon Pod and from our link tree. You can also send us or tag us in any of your fan art. As always, you can reach us at downunderdungeonpod@gmail.com. And as always, please give us a 5-star rating on both Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And we will see you next week.
Goodbye until then. Goodbye.